That's all right. Let's go ahead and go through the introductions while we wait for Dean. And probably by the time we get through that, he'll be here and we'll be ready to go. So officially, hello, everyone. I am Kyla Farrell. I am a program director at the University of Maryland. And today we are going to have an overview of Salesforce Inbox. We have two presenters from the University of Notre Dame. The first is Dean Ernzen. He is the Application Services Director from the university. He's been working in Salesforce since 2015 on enterprise CRM and advancement use cases. And he's also on the leadership team of the Salesforce Higher Education Advisory Council. And as you can see, we also have Linda Klaybor here. She is a training and change management professional. She's been a database trainer since 2006 and then had change management responsibilities added 2 years ago. She started using Salesforce prior to the October 2017 launch of their CRM ND system. Just as a matter of housekeeping, please make sure you're on that sessions tab that's up on the right corner. Feel free to add comments in the chat. If you have questions, please post those in the Q&A. We're going to go through those at the end of the presentation. So with that, Linda, should we go ahead and get started?
So, oh, here he comes.
There he is.
Apologize for that.
That is quite all right. We actually just went through the whole spiel to get us started, Dean. So thank you for joining, and we're ready to go whenever you're ready.
Okay, I will start some screen sharing here.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to go off camera during the presentation. I'll come back on when we're going through the Q&A.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for joining. Hopefully we can provide a little bit of insight on Salesforce Inbox. This has been an interesting journey for us, and we're happy to answer any questions at the end, but we'll give you a little insight as to what we worked on. So as Kyla already did some brief introductions, I'm Dean Ernzen. I'm the Application Services Director at Notre Dame. Linda is a partner of mine on the training and change management side, and we work very closely together on this project. So as the applications director, I'm actually also a Salesforce administrator. So not just a manager, but hands-on keys. And we use the Ascend managed package in our KindSight.org. Our fundraisers rely on Salesforce Inbox to capture crucial email conversations with our benefactors. However, to align this tool with our managed package, we needed to build a specific automation. Today, we'll explore what Salesforce Inbox is, why we adopted it, and the automation we built to accommodate our data model, or the data model within the Ascend managed package. We'll also discuss the training and change management strategy that allowed us to successfully get that implemented. Salesforce Inbox integrates your email client, whether it's Outlook or Gmail, directly with Salesforce. It offers efficiency features such as templates, snippets, and bulk actions, but our fundraisers primarily use it to log email conversations. This ensures that they maintain a complete record of dialogue regarding philanthropic interests and family events, ultimately helping fundraisers build and foster stronger relationships with the families they support. In 2017, Notre Dame selected a different Gmail integration tool because Salesforce Inbox's matching was limited to the standard contact email field. Since we use multiple custom email fields to track business, personal addresses, other emails, we needed a more robust matching process. Over time, Salesforce Inbox did add this, and we also learned that Inbox was included with our unlimited edition licenses, so switching to Inbox was also an important cost savings opportunity for us. We did opt against Einstein activity capture because our fundraisers prefer to selectively log important emails rather than capturing everything automatically. Salesforce Inbox is a Chrome extension, and Linda's going to speak a little bit more about that and the impact of that in terms of training and change management. And this shows up as really a side panel that can be collapsed next to your email client. And it's launched by clicking a little cloud icon in the tray at the top of your screen. When the side panel is expanded, there's a number of options that you can take advantage of. Email templates, as we mentioned. There's some sliders for logging the emails and tracking. Tracking is clicks and opens. Adding schedule links. So if you're proposing times to somebody that they can pick from, that'll automatically book into your calendar. Or if you'd like to send them a link that allows them to select available times on your calendar, those are both options. Send later. So your email client likely has a send later option already, but what this does is it handles the send later, but then also does the logging and the tracking as well, so you don't lose any of that capability. And then picking the records. And this is an important part of our process to make sure that we're linking the emails to the correct contacts, accounts, or other records as needed, whether it be proposals and other important records. So we've got an example, and we'll just play a short video here. So here's an email in the inbox. Click the little cloud at the top, which opens the slider panel. And you can reply to or compose an email. Now, note the side panel here looks a little different. This was linked to a sandbox, so you don't get quite all of the options in the side panel that you would in a production environment. But after composing the email, you can click on that log to send, and we're picking the records. In this case, we're ensuring that the contact and the count, which is a household in our data model, are both selected. We save that. And when we send the message, Salesforce Inbox does its work and presents some confirmation boxes in the lower right-hand side. So Salesforce Inbox creates 3 different types of records when the information is sent over to Salesforce. You get the email message record, you get an email message relation record, and you get a task. An example of the email message record is shown here. You got the content of the email on the message tab. The right-hand side of the screen shows other records that are linked to that email, and the details tab that shows the specifics around the information. Note that since there's not the ability to create a custom tab for email messages, so really the best way to view these messages are directly on the records that they're linked to or in reports. We'll also talk a little bit later how we've actually linked these email messages to these other contact reports that we create, so you can get to it in a number of ways as a user. Email message relations records are junction records that connect the email records to the other things that you related it to, whether it be contacts, accounts, proposals, etc. In the second line, you can see that there's a contact ID that was found by matching on the email address that was on the message that was composed. This is going to be important in the flow that we'll take a look at here shortly. Similar to the email message relation, you can't create a custom tab for that, so you can't view it through the app launcher, but you can use Data Loader to retrieve these records using the email message ID. And we did quite a bit of this to understand how these email message relation records are created, because there was some variability in there that we had to account for. So Salesforce Inbox also creates tasks. So this is the third type of record. They're generated with a status of complete. They're assigned to the user who's logged the email, and it's automatically linked to the contact and the account selected in the side panel from your email client. While tasks typically appear on the activity timeline, Salesforce Inbox displays these logged emails with an envelope icon in this timeline. If you click on the link in the timeline, it takes you actually to the email message record as opposed to the task. Now that we've covered kind of how Salesforce Inbox generally works and how it links records, we'll compare that data model against the Ascend data model, where we needed the information to actually reside. So on the right-hand side of this slide, you'll see that Ascend uses a contact report object with a lookup to an account or a household. It uses contact report relations, a junction object that links the households and constituents to the email or to the contact report. And while only one household connects directly to the contact report, the junction object allows multiple households and members to be linked to that same contact report. Our challenge was to trigger the creation of these records based on the data that was generated by Salesforce Inbox. And we have a few other challenges that we'll talk about as well. So kind of a high-level view of the flow, there was basically 7 key steps. So we're obviously triggering the flow, and we did that based on the creation of the email message. We did this with a 3-minute delay, though, because we found as Salesforce Inbox is creating the records, if we triggered our automation too soon, we might miss a few things. And our fundraisers didn't mind having a slight delay between the time when they actually logged it and being able to see everything created in Salesforce. The email message relation records, we grab those and loop over them to find those contact IDs that are associated with the email message. We determine the author, and we'll go through why this was a little more complicated than you think it would be, but it involves evaluating a number of things about who actually created the email message and their relationship to other people in the organization. Then we get down to the point of actually creating the contact report relation records. And we create the links between the contact report and the email message records so that they can easily navigate between the two of them, because the tracking information from the email message is actually stored there. We couldn't move that over to the contact report. We reparent those attachments, and then we set a checkbox on the task so it does not show in the timeline. Because we leveraged the Salesforce Labs time warp timeline, and you can see the icons there. So here's just a snapshot of the triggering. It's important to note that we've got a condition there that the is client managed is equal to true. This distinguishes between email messages that were generated by Salesforce Inbox or something other such as email to case. Once we get those email message relation records, we loop over those, grab the contact IDs, make sure we have a unique list. And if there wasn't a household or an account ID initially linked to the email message, we go ahead and grab the household that was associated with the first contact. We also found situations where the users didn't actually take the step of connecting a contact or an account with the email message, which essentially created an orphan record. And we couldn't create a contact report based on that either. So we added this feedback loop where it would send an email message to the person who sent the email over to Salesforce, and it would let them know that it wasn't able to complete the process and why. And this was a feedback loop that was part of our training and change management process. So here's the part about determining the author. So again, you would naturally think it would be the person that submitted the email. But we've got a number of different people that could be sending these emails over, but it's important to log the right author because fundraisers are measured based on contact reports. So we've got administrative assistants that work for the fundraisers, or the primary relationship manager, they're also called. So we've got to determine whether the person submitting it is that fundraiser or primary relationship manager. We have to consider the academic advancement advisors, gift planning officer administrative assistants, and all these things need to be sorted through to determine the correct author. Ultimately, the contact report's linked to at least one household and the members of that household through contact report relations. So the right-hand path in the screenshot shows a simple case where we have one household associated with the email, so we just link the members of the household and we're done. The left-hand side, in the event somebody sends the email to a number of different people or CCs them, then we've got to sort through and get all the right households pulled together, all the right household members. So it adds a little bit of complexity to the flow. Towards the end, we're linking the contact report to the original email message again so they can get to that tracking information. We're also reparenting the attachments, and we're setting that checkbox on the task to false so it doesn't show up on this time warp timeline and create too many icons and clutter. So with that, I'll turn it over to Linda Klaybor, who handled the training and change management for this to make it successful.
All right. Well, thanks, Dean. As everyone can tell, Dean was truly the mastermind behind all of the integration work with the behind the scenes with it. I mean, from his presentation. And when we started talking about this, we did have a little bit of a limited time frame, because we knew that we were going to be moving on to Salesforce Inbox from our previous client. So we initially got our work instructions set up. I did, quick reference guides, as you can see. The images here that, we did them based on installation, the use and tracking, meaning that the installation, how am I going to install this? And one of the hurdles that we did have at that point was Chrome decided to allow Salesforce Inbox a newer, more improved application. And it happened, of course, right at the time we were doing our training. So we had a couple of revisions on some of our quick reference guides, but basically how to use it. We had the information written up. We did our demos. And also then we taught them about tracking. But our first go around was a group of beta testers, and they were predominantly fundraisers who were current users of our old system. So they knew the ins and outs and what they wanted. And also at that time, I quote unquote dubbed them our cheerleaders because they were the ones that were testing this, saying it was great, and also being those subject matter experts for those who then were trained at a different time. So we then had multiple training sessions for both that fundraising staff and those supporting units, as Dean had mentioned, our administrative assistants, gift planning officers, and academic advancement directors. So we found that it was great to keep them in their groups, of course, because they knew basically what their group needed, and they had the same questions. And again, subject matter experts were actually in each of those units that we had originally selected. So that was really, really nice. For one thing that we did is, I don't know if anyone uses the chatter groups much in Salesforce, but we decided to create a chatter group so that a lot of our communication and our questions could be managed within that group, and that either one of us, whether Dean answered the question or I did, it was captured in the group, it stayed in the group, and if anybody needed to reference back to that, then they could, as we had put a link to the chatter group on one of our intranet pages so that people could go to it if they needed to. And of course, as always, everyone knows, all trainers know, do they go to that or do they email you? So email was always the option as well. But we then also, I worked directly with our onboarding team, and we made sure that we added it to our new employee onboarding process. And let me circle back real quick on that, because it was very important when we selected the individuals to be trained. We first took those individuals who were using our prior system, trained them first, so that we could basically manage who needed it and who didn't. Yes, as Dean mentioned, this is a free product based on our license. However, if a user went and downloaded the application and started using it, it would work fine, but they couldn't use the tracking capabilities unless they were actually provisioned with the access to Salesforce Inbox within Salesforce. So those were some different and interesting things that we did notice about it. Training, I think, for the most part, went very well. We did have some hiccups, as Dean had mentioned, because we did some revisions of, which author and which this, and but now we have a good sense about it, and our staff is using it, and they've looked at the reports that we've created and asked us any questions if they had any moving forward. So that was our training.
That is great. We only have 1 minute left, so I do want to get in one quick question. Do you happen to know if this is something that can be done with Outlook, or is it just Gmail?
It's Outlook as well, yes.
Great. Okay. Well, we are right at time. Thank you so much, Linda and Dean. This has been incredibly informative. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Please head back to the schedule